Let's start with the top stories. South America's twin disaster plus Israel's rejected roadmap. Two major stories leading today, a region feeling from back-to-back earthquakes and a peace plan hitting a wall in the Middle East. First story, Colombia's earthquake. Colombia is facing its deadliest natural disaster in decades. On Monday, a 7.4 magnitude earthquake tore through the west of the country, epicentered near San Jose, Palma in Choco. With the damage concentrated in Cali, Colombia's third largest city. As of now, at least 224 people are confirmed dead, with more than 570 injured and over 2,700 people still reported missing. At least 20 buildings have collapsed in Cali alone, but that does not demean on how much this is. Some with people still trapped inside. 7 airports across the region have suspended operations. It's the strongest quake to hit Colombia in over a decade. The timing made it worse. Cali was in the middle of a week-long festival celebrating Afro-Pacific culture, meaning hundreds and thousands of visitors were in the city when the ground started to shake. Come to think of it, this is also the first major crisis for Colombia's brand new president, Abelardo, sworn in just days before the quake hit. The US has already committed over $15 million in emergency aid and search and rescue operations. Continue. Damn, that must be very tough for the president. Our second story, Venezuela's ongoing recovery. This isn't the first time the region has been hit this year. Back on June 24th, two powerful earthquakes struck north-central Venezuela near Caracas, and the confirmed death toll there has now passed 6,000. That's a lot. With tens and thousands still missing according to some estimates, the World Bank puts the physical damage at nearly $20 billion. Recovery is expected to take years, and Venezuelan government is facing mounting criticism over the pace of its response, a warning sign for how Colombia's disaster could unfold months ahead. On that story, Gaza roadmap rejected. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, a peace deal months in the making just hit a wall. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu formally rejected the Board of Peace's 15-point Gaza disarmament roadmap, insisting Israeli forces won't withdraw until Hamas is fully and verifiably disarmed. Hamas has reportedly accepted the plan. The rejection comes less than 3 months before Israel's October 27 election, with Netanyahu's coalition reportedly at risk of losing its majority, a factor critics say is shaping his negotiation power. We'll keep tracking all three of these. Next, a possible breakthrough between the US and Iran, plus a major AI announcement shaking up tech markets. Now, world and business news. US and Iran nearing a deal. Zuckerberg's AI manifesto and markets react. From geopoliticals to markets and technology, 3 stories moving money and headlines. Start off with US and Iran arrangements. After months of standoff, there's a real signal today that the US and Iran might be closing in on an agreement. Pakistan's defense minister told Bloomberg that two sides are close to agreeing on it. In his words, some sort of arrangement. This after weeks of back and forth over reopening the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway a huge share on the world's oil tankers pass through daily. It hasn't been smooth. Iran recently demanded compensation from US for damage caused during the military conflict, asking Washington to lift sanctions and freeze Iranian assets and end its blockade of Iran's ports. President Trump pushed back publicly, saying compensation has never on the table been put. So this isn't a done deal, but a third party describing real progress is near and worth Watch next story on tech, Zuckerberg's AI superintelligence essay. In tech, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg published a 6,500-word essay Monday laying out his vision for so-called personal intelligence, arguing AI should be distributed as widely as possible rather than controlled by a handful of companies or governments. He framed it around three principles: individual empowerment, invention over automation, and balance of power as the foundation of safety. Meta's 2026 capital spending budget of $145 billion will go largely towards data centers to support this push. It's a notable break from more cautious tones some rivals. AI labs have struck around the risk of advanced AI. Backstory: markets. Markets are digesting all of this at once. Oil prices have been jumping over the past several sessions on the Iran uncertainty, while stock futures were roughly flat heading into today as investors wait for clarity. Its market's pricing is uncertainty rather than betting on a direction. Why does this matter? If the Strait of Hormuz fully reopens, it could ease oil prices globally. On the AI side, Zuckerberg's essay signals how Meta plans to compete and spend over the year. Worth watching for anyone tracking the AI infrastructure race. We're watching all three closely. Now, let's head to Africa, where several stories are developing all at once. Africa Roundup. A few important stories out of Africa today are DRC Ebola outbreak new strains. The Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has now killed over 2,000 people, making it the fastest spreading outbreak on record. A new study published this week found the outbreak likely came from an animal-to-human transmission involving a strain of the rare Bundibugyo virus that's genetically distinct from previous outbreaks in 2007 and 2012. Health officials are watching closely as the outbreak continues to grow. Still in Africa, Sudan's war in children's education. The United Nations is warning that Sudan's ongoing war has left over 8 million children out of school. UNICEF says it needs nearly $1 billion this year to support Sudanese children, but as of earlier this year, only 16% of the funding has come through. It's part of a wider pattern. Funding for humanitarian needs across the region, including malnutrition programs in Somalia, is also falling short. Then another story is Marikana mining tragedy in South Africa. Close to home in the mining sector, 14 illegal miners were killed in a rockfall near Marikana, South Africa, most of them from Lesotho. Rescue teams say an unknown number of miners may still be underground, with several more hospitalized. That's a roundup for today. What to keep watching? Before we go, here's what we are tracking. In Colombia, the search and rescue effort continue, and we'll be watching whether the death toll keeps climbing as more areas are reached. On the US and Iran front, watch for any official confirmations of an actual arrangement, not just signals from third parties. That's the real trigger for oil markets to move decisively. And in the DRC, health officials will be watching whether this new strain's identification changes how the outbreak is being contained. That's it for today's roundup from Prixy. Subscribe so you don't miss out on any important updates like this, and follow us on TikTok for quick nuggets each and every single day as the news keep on coming. Until next time, see you then.